Hello, welcome to Nobby's Workshop. I recently made this fixture plate and had to tap 45 holes here in total and drill some other holes to take these little dowel pins. The only problem in drilling a total of 61 holes is that you've got 122 holes to deburr. Fortunately, this is the job that I can actually do sitting down and just sort of take my time over it really. And perhaps when I've stopped filming, I'll put the radio on so I can listen to the radio as well. When I've gone round and deburred all the holes here, I'm going to try and find a nice flat stone so I can then stone the surface of the plate as well, just to make sure there's nothing else sticking up here at all, which obviously would interfere with using it as a fixture plate basically. There is something else I'm going to do after I've got all this work completed. Obviously sort of check that all the screw threads are okay, retap any that are a problem, but it's obviously going to be quite a long job, but in the end I think it's going to be very worthwhile. So I'll bring you back when I've done this bit, and then we'll move on, perhaps to stoning the surface and checking something else out as well. I've deburred all the holes using my deburring tool here, just to make sure that there's nothing sort of sticking up around the tapped holes here at all. I've already done the base of it, and I've also stoned it with this stone. Whether this is a true ruby stone I don't know, but I've gone over the top and stoned the surface to make it smooth as possible. I've cleaned it with brake cleaner, put plenty of brake cleaner on it, and then I've blown through all the holes to clean them out to make sure there's no swarf in any of the threads, and I've not checked every one, but I've randomly put a 6mm screw into the holes just to make sure that these will go in okay. And then obviously when I start to use this, if I find there's any problems screwing the studs into this, obviously I can just run a tap through them again. But for me, the most important thing is that all the holes that I've drilled here for the dowel pins, that they are going to be sort of square to the edge here, and importantly that the holes in, if you like, the X direction and the Y direction are square to one another as well. So if I put the dowel pins in, I'll put some in here as well. And I'm using a nice engineer square to make sure that these are perfectly square to one another. Now there could obviously be a very, very small gap here, so I thought, well, a good way of checking that everything is square, whether this is a good method or not I don't know, but if I use some cigarette paper and put that down there and then push the square into that and see whether it's gripping, and it appears to grip very well on both the dowel pins in that direction. So suppose I could do the same test here. If I put a, let's see where that's going to line up with there. If I put another dowel pin in and then do the same thing here, oops, and then it's gripping nicely on the dowel pins there as well. Also, obviously, I can check the edge here against the pins. So get that pressed in as well as I can, and it's gripping both these pin positions there. So I'm hoping that that's going to be absolutely fine. Actually, that is long enough to do that edge as well. So I hope that's okay. And yeah, it's gripping fine there. But when I machine the plate, obviously I machined these edges first, and then use the micrometer to check the distance along here, and I was within tenths of getting it absolutely fine. And then when I machined these ends, I took a long time to set this up on the milling machine so that I could machine these ends so that they are a good accurate 90-degree angle at both ends. I'm hoping that is a sort of a good test to do using cigarette paper is about 1/1000 thick, but obviously the important thing when I'm setting up a workpiece in here, that once if I've got this set up on the milling machine and I've clocked it in here, that anything that I put into position here and clamp it down is going to be perfectly square as well here to the edge. Now I hope that's going to be okay. Obviously the first time I use this, whatever workpiece I put in here, I will clock along here and along the edge, and I can probably clock the side of the dowel pins as well, all the way round. So I hope this is going to work fine, and it was quite a task to make this, but it all sort of worked out pretty well in the end. Also, I can mount against this edge as well. You'll probably notice that there are no there's no second row here. Reason being, when I set this up on the milling machine, I mentioned in a previous video I'd done that the wire travel I have on the milling machine wouldn't cover to these edges, and indeed it wouldn't cover from here to here. So I just drilled this row of holes. Obviously, if I need to, I can put this back into the milling machine again, possibly this way round, and then clock this in accurately and drill. The markings are still here to drill the holes here if I find it necessary, but I think mostly everything will be set up in that direction, so that probably won't be necessary to do that. I hope this little bit of an experiment is interesting. So I'm sort of quite looking forward to using this for the first time. I think I've got it sort of nice and flat now. This stone I only bought fairly recently, and this is the flattest one I've got. And when I don't have any matched surface ground stones to do this with, so that was one of the reasons for buying this. I have got larger double-sided stones, but none of these are of very good quality, and if you put a straight edge on them, they're not perfectly straight all the way across. Good enough for I guess sort of honing up sort of lathe tooling and things like that, because you're only going to be using a sort of a small area of the stone, but this is probably the most accurate one I've got. Anyway, thanks for joining me in the workshop again, and hopefully you'll see this being used in future videos. Bye bye for now.